Hi, welcome to UWM Theater's podcast, TableWork. This week we sit down with Alvaro Sarr Rios, who wrote The Day the Music Came Back.
He's a resident playwright whose work has been performed all over the U.S. He's the co-founder of the Royal Mexican Players and a UWM professor. The Day the Music Came Back runs until April 13th. Tickets are available now at the link in our bio.
We spoke with Alvaro over the summer, however the show was postponed, so now here is our interview with Alvaro.
As artists, this is when we really get to work.
Dive into what you love.
Get up in the morning and make art.
Pursue as much opportunity as we can handle.
We're going to be making what the future looks like.
So you've written shows for UW in the past before, right?
I would say develop, and which is kind of what I've used as a professor there. I've used the courses to be able to kind of like a playground, basically like a sandbox, to be able to develop new work. And so I've developed a few docudramas. I love the idea of docudrama and being able to use interviews to be able to tell a story. I mean, the one that impacted me the most is the one about Matthew Shepard, the Laramie Project.
Yeah.
And so that one impacted me the most to show me this is what you can do with docudrama. And so that's kind of what I decided I would try to do with this one. And just more of just the sense of being able to give that community voice, for people to understand who the voices of this community were, but then also have students be able to represent those voices. I mean, as a professor, I try to push myself in terms of what I like to do in theater, because I see other theater makers doing the same thing, in which I want to hopefully inspire any students to take my courses to kind of do the same thing, that, to not just stick with what they've learned in high school. There's so many different other forms that you might not even be familiar with. And so, I feel like the only way to be able to tell them about it is to be able to also expose them.
Would you say this new production, The Day the Music Came Back, is that a docudrama as well, or is it fictional? Or
no, this one's purely fictional. And the actual, just so we're clear, this one's a workshop production, because it's still, anytime I work with students, I want them to know, this piece, it's not like the productions that we've done in the past that might have been published already. So from the first day of rehearsal, after we do a reading of the script, I'm going to make some changes, because I've actually got to hear all the voices of the characters. So that's what's great about being able to use actors. I wanted to write a piece specifically for teenage audiences, and I know teenage definitely runs the scope, right? We think from 13, but 13 all the way to 19, and so definitely something that can be done in high schools, but also can be done at universities. Yeah, the character descriptions, the only thing I have, none of my characters have gender assigned to them, specifically because I had wanted to write a piece that was we were just focusing on the story, but then also I wanted it to where anybody can play anybody. So, it's also connected in terms, thematically, of what things I like to write about in terms of generational storytelling, and how these kids learn about something which they they've only heard the bad things about it. They know nothing about it, but they come together to tell these stories that they've heard about their grandparents, what they've told them about it. And then one day one of them walks in because they found a music player, which is something that's totally banned, something that will, if they are caught, they will all be executed. I was in high school, and I used to have a death metal band. I actually used to be a singer of a death metal band. And that's a very, not even my faculty, my colleagues, most of them do not know this.
No.
And music was something that just defined who I was. But I really love music, and I wanted to, and I had no ability to compose or anything. And so, but I wanted a piece that really celebrated music, but in a way that I could. And that was through just being able to write a play. I was just trying to think, as a teenager, what are those things that really you feel as you're beginning to discover who you are and understand who you are. I think music is definitely one of those outlets. And when you don't have that outlet, imagine when the first time you actually get to experience that. And that's actually the culmination of the piece, is where they start to discover that we can like we can create the music we can create our own music, and which is then like us understanding like individually, we as individuals, we can make our own music, and each one we're all unique because of what we create. And be it death metal, be it, you know, pop music, be it classical music, whatever, like everybody's heard that one song that really like just hit them and made them like, made them realize this is for me. And that was the essence of what I wanted to take in creating this piece, was like for each one of them, they've heard a story that really tapped into something that they were like, hey, that's, you know, if my grandparents risked their lives to like to hide instruments in their walls just so they could create music, like there's something about this that I should learn more about, you know.
What do you hope the students involved in the production will learn or gain from the experience?
So this is part of the new drama work series that we're starting, where we're starting to develop new plays. And the idea is that we'll do something like this, very workshop version, very black box. So we don't focus on costumes, we don't focus on you know, scenery, but it's really focusing on the story and presenting it, still rehearsing it and presenting it in a way. You know, and because that's also very important for any student to learn that, to have the experience to, I think, to be able to work on a new play, because you will come into rehearsals sometimes and you'll have a totally new pages and you've got to start memorizing those. What I try to do is peel back the process of when it comes to writing a play, and how like even the playwright doesn't have all the answers. I want to believe I do when I'm writing it, but I don't. And what I'm also hoping is that maybe that might even encourage for, you know, some others to like realize like this, you can do this too. Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being writing your own plays and being a performer. Like, you know, you can be as creative as you want to be. It's in you. You just have to like find that passion and go for it. And you know what, you might not be perfect, you know, the first time, the second time, you know, I'm still not perfect at it, but this is my passion. I mean, this is what I want to do. I found I was good at writing and storytelling, so I'm going to do it. And the students are so used to, they walk into rehearsal day one, they already have a script. And for some, depending on who they are, they might already, if they've had the script for months, they might have actually memorized the script. In a professional setting, the way I've learned, if you've been given a script that has already been published, you better be memorized by day one. And that's a good skill to learn. But when you're developing a new play, that is when it's time to show that like these words are not in concrete. You know, they seem to be in concrete we're bringing a published play, but when it's a new play, that's when students begin to realize like, hold on, well, that scene that we worked on Monday is not here anymore. Like, yeah, it didn't work. And like, I've had experiences where students are like, well, that's it, we're not going to use it. I was like, no, it just didn't work. And like, but I like that scene. I was like, yeah, you know what? I liked it too, but it didn't work. I get inspiration by the way a certain student says a line or something, or they might mispronounce something. And then I realize, oh my God, that sounds better. And so I'll change it. I mean, I think about, and this is actually not from workshopping something with students, but one time I was working on a production, and my wife was actually in the play, and she had she said this line wrong, and it was basically it was about this guy who was a retired wrestler, and he was in terms of Mexican wrestling, whenever you retire, you pass down your mask to your usually your son, but in this story he passes it down to his daughter, but when he pulls the mask out in this big ceremony, to kind of the secret ceremony to give to his daughter, he notices that the same mask that he used to wear, this isn't the same mask. And so my wife was playing this mask maker, and she says, well, no, it's not the same mask. Your head was too fat. But that wasn't the line. The line was something else. It wasn't as boring. I can't even remember the line now. But like that response that you gave, everybody else busted out laughing in rehearsal. And I was like, that's the line. I have to keep that line. And so like, that's, I mean, and every time that it is performed, when the character says that line, people laugh all the time. And I think that's also what I'm hoping to show students, as we have to be open as artists to like realize that everything we create should not always be like in concrete. We have to be open enough to kind of continue. We have to grow, right? As artists, we have to grow in various different ways. And this setting, the new DramaWork setting, is that idea. So I think this is a great time for, I mean, even though as sad as this time is, I'm not sure maybe the great is the word I want to use, but I think is a time where as artists, this is when we really get to work, when we have these boundaries, when we have these certain boundaries, and then we realize, like, either number one, if you're really an artist, you're going to figure out how to still do your work. I don't care who you are. But then for some, they might realize, well, this is too hard, and be like, okay, well, you know what, maybe go do something else, and that's totally fine. But I feel like for any artist, like that person who has that thing in them that really drives them, no matter what barrier they have, they're going to figure it out. They're going to still be able to figure out how to do their art. And I think, you know, like doing Zoom production, Zoom readings, doing audio, like, I mean, you could still work on your art as an artist in terms of as theater makers, as storytellers. You can still be able to use these mediums. And there's nothing wrong with doing that right now, because every artist, that's the only thing they have. It's not like anybody else is going to have the advantage. So why not try it this way and build something, and you know, and then eventually we can get back into those spaces, you know, find your passion and do it, and make lots of theater, tell lots of stories. And yeah, just, I mean, this is the time when artists create. So start creating.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on and everything.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Becca. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you.
Of course.
Take it easy.
Bye. Thank you for listening to our interview with the playwright of The Day the Music Came Back.
The show will be streaming until April 12th, so get your tickets now. Join us next time for an interview with Ryan Kappelman, the music director of Working the Musical. Thank you all.